Joining me now from Canberra is the Nationals leader, David Littleproud. Thanks for joining us, David. David, did you brace yourself? Were you chilled a little by the harsh words from the Chinese ambassador?
Well, it was chilling. And when you couple that with the symbolic actions that they've undertaken with provocative action of military force, sending it over Taiwan into Japanese area, it is frightening to think that the ambassador doesn't appreciate the actual symbols that they're sending to the rest of the world and the frightening prospect that they're putting to the rest of the world. And while I'm worried about them saying you should use your imagination, I'd ask them to use their imagination if they're genuine about a peaceful resolution with Taiwan, and to use their imagination about giving them the opportunity to vote. Give the people of Taiwan, the 23 million people in Taiwan, the opportunity to determine their future. I tried to actually put into reference Tasmania being taken away from Australia. Well, in Australia we would. If they want to secede from Australia, we'd give them that vote if that's what Tasmania came to, or any other state. But that's what I would say is a better and more peaceful prospect in solving any dispute there in Taiwan and China. And I just think that it's important that the Chinese ambassador understands the symbolic nature of his statements today, not just here in Australia, but that will reverberate around the world. And that's frightening. It's one that is sobering, and one that we need to be calm, and we need to work collectively with the government in a bipartisan way, making sure that Australia stands firm to this. They understand our principles and our values, and we respect theirs. But there are ways in which you can resolve these disputes, and it's not with sending missiles over one another.
No doubt you would agree that the government has handled this with consistency from the previous government and with certitude. It's been a pretty good performance. They haven't been bullied. Now, no one wants to inflame tensions further gratuitously, but it means Australia needs to make sure that we don't cower from this, that we do send people, that we do allow politicians who see the need to visit Taiwan, that they do go there.
Yeah, and I think it's important that China understands that and appreciates the fact that Australia isn't acting unilaterally here. We're acting with other key partners in the region, like Japan, that are key allies and are ones that want to seek a peaceful resolution to this, and that there are ways to resolve this in a peaceful way, and that'll mean bring prosperity and peace to the whole region. So it's important we understand one another's cultures and values, but understand the guiding principle of that should be to ensure that there is peace and prosperity across our region. And China needs to understand the symbolic nature of which they're acting. And what we're trying to do is to work with the government. I do say that the government has acted responsibly in this. They've carried on in much of the fashion that we have, and I respect them for that. And I think Penny Wong has done an outstanding job in making sure that our values and principles have been adhered to, as we did as a government, and work with them in opposition to achieve that.
Now, when it comes to domestic issues, the opposition leader, the Liberal leader, Peter Dutton, has rejected an invitation to the government's Job Summit, saying it's a meaningless talk fest. You, though, say that you're going to go. Isn't the Job Summit the wrong idea when we look at our economic challenges? At the moment, there's stacks of jobs. We're lacking workers. Don't we need to get immigrants and others back into the country taking jobs?
Well, totally. And I tend to think that this is more of a gabfest and a political stunt, but I'd rather be inside the tent as a voice for regional rural Australia. We're the forgotten Australians. Regional rural Australia weren't even invited to this thing. The National Party wasn't invited, and we're prepared to act constructively and hold the government to account. But it's important that regional rural Australians have a voice in this, and that's why we've been disappointed with the fact that the government's abolished the ag visa and just simply made availability of workers for the agricultural sector, the Pacific scheme, which we've had tens of thousands available to us, but they haven't been suitable for the work that's been required. So we need to, while I think it's a stunt, you can't walk away from the opportunity to be a voice for regional rural Australia. We very rarely get it. This government's forgotten us. They forgot the National Party in being able to be a cogent representative for regional rural Australia about making sure that we look at this in the short term of bringing migrants in, not just for agriculture, but for other skills. We also want to make sure that the next generation of migrants come to regional rural Australia to not just grow agriculture, but to grow regional Australia. That's what our country's founded on, and that's what regional Australia is founded on. And if I'm not there, then regional Australia doesn't get a voice. And I just think that weighing it up, we're our own political party, the Nationals, and we are the conscience of regional rural Australia. That's our sole purpose. And I think we have to be constructive despite the political barriers that this government puts up. And I'm going to fight hard for those people to make sure that their voices are heard, and that the prospects and ideas that would help them, that is the biggest constraint on regional Australia and on our economy, is heard, and hopefully some outcomes are provided.
David Littleproud, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate.